We are here and it is session 8.
Yes, week 8.
Yay! How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, today was a little bit of a lighter day. Tomorrow, one of my friends gets married, so that is why we are meeting on a
Yay!
Wednesday and not on a Thursday. So,
We love love. Yes, we
we
are meeting a
do.
day earlier than usual. Um, yeah, all right, let's get into it.
Yeah, talk to me. Well, talk to me about how your week went,
Um,
nutritionally and otherwise.
yeah, so it was a busy week more so with like errands and things like that. And I feel like I was having days where it was starting later because I was up later. And that threw me a little bit at times. But that's when I'd be like, okay, to get close to your protein goal, you need to drink one of the milks or like do something
Hmm.
else. Um, but that wasn't bad. I think I'm still trying to now meet the even higher protein goal where I'm like, oh man,
Hmm.
I just got good at getting in the 80s to 100 range and now I'm trying to get even higher. So I do think I'm not like I haven't gotten there yet, but have gotten closer. Like I still feel that now getting to like that 80 to 100, I now do without having to think as much. But now that I
Hmm.
need to raise it even more, I'm like, okay, now you need to think about that. um, so that's been on that front, but overall, good. And then the other day, I remember what you said about, having some granola or granola bar or something like that. Cause I woke up and was very hungry before my workout with Sam on Tuesday. So I just did a serving of granola that I ate on the way there. And I was like, this is
Yeah,
great. I'm not super hungry anymore.
awesome. And do you feel like it made a difference in your workout, or too hard to tell?
Yeah, I don't know if I could tell necessarily, but at least during the workout, I wasn't thinking, I'm really hungry. I can't wait to eat. I'm
Right.
really hungry. I can't wait to eat. Like I was good. I wasn't.
Is it, and remind me, is it typical for you to be hungry in the morning, or is that something that's kind of new?
No, it's not new necessarily, but it'll like sometimes what happens is like I don't get hungry until maybe 30 minutes to an hour after I woke up. And like, so I don't know if it's necessarily like, oh, I woken up and I'm hungry.
Hmm.
But it would more so fall, I think, like during the morning, because I like to do a morning workout. During my morning workout, I'd be like, man, I'm really hungry. And I need to finish this workout though before I can go eat.
So, taking it a step back further, then, in that you like to do a morning workout, so pretty much first thing after you wake up, are you having coffee before your workout?
No, I don't have
Okay.
anything. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, there's an argument for doing fasted workouts and also that women don't do well in fasted workouts. So
Mhm.
it's very much a personal preference thing. I think that we like to go too far into the weeds of like what's optimal and what's not. And what's optimal for you is what works for you, right?
Mhm.
So if you really just can't stomach food before your workout, I probably wouldn't force it. Um, you're not an Olympian. I mean, that's not you. But like,
No.
it's not that deep, right? Like, it's so optimization culture has really created a lot of um, problems that people don't really have, but make them think that they have.
Okay.
And going back into like wellness being a very large industry.
Mhm.
So there's that. But I would say, yeah, if you're waking up hungry before your workout, definitely eat. And to your point, it will help you not think about food while you're doing your workout. But I would imagine that it would also, give you that fuel for your workout. So then you might also find that performance increases over time if we're able to tolerate a little bit of food before our workout. I mean, the other option would be to just really like back end load your carbs the night before. So almost like
Mhm.
pseudo carbo loading. So then when you wake up in the morning, we've got good glycogen stores to hit our workout with the intensity that we want to, because we don't want to pull back because we're thinking about food or because we're hungry or crashing.
Right. Yeah. And I think I'm gonna get some granola bars as well. Like I just ate granola, but
Mm-hmm.
that didn't make me feel like bogged down or
Yeah.
like just like, oh, okay, this is good. Cause I think, cause I also like, I don't have water. I don't have anything. Like I go into a workout and I'm just like, I just want to go work out. And then I come back and then like immediately the first thing I do is make my breakfast after a workout.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like granola works. Like that was great. That was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like a simple, easy to digest carb. Like we don't have to fear, even if it's juice, right? We
Yeah.
don't have to fear sugar or carbs, especially when we're about to do a workout, because our bodies need energy, and our
Mm-hmm.
main fuel source is going to be carbs.
Right. Yeah. So that was great.
Awesome. Anything else to report?
No, I don't think so. Oh, but did you see the DEXA scan?
I didn't have a chance to look at it yet.
Okay. I can try to pull it up. Because it basically just compared the two.
Mm-hmm.
Take me to my dashboard. So it had my body fat down by 0.5%.
Mm-hmm.
It had my lean mass up by 2 pounds.
Oh, great.
My fat mass down by 0.3, and visceral fat is now down 0.1 to, so now it's 0.1.
Okay. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's something. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, and like ADEXA is something we talked about this before. Like,
Yeah.
the more often you do it, the harder it'll be to see a shift.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll be really interesting to compare like day 1 to day 90 and then kind of see what the trend was across those 3 months.
Yeah, for sure. But I was like, okay, this is still trending in like the recomp.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
That's what we want.
So
That's great
to see. Yeah. And I was like, oh, interesting. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to report on that front. And just also I had like a lower count step week last week. So I'm trying to be more intentional this week with the walking and getting outside.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's awesome. The only thing I was going to comment on, which kind of ties into our topic today about protein, I think in general, we overthink protein in terms of it being supplemented instead of just eating more of what we're already eating, right? Like if we're having 2 eggs in the morning, can we have 3? Or can we add some egg whites to our eggs that we're having? Or, when we can identify a portion size, but who's to say that you can't have 1.5 portions or 2 portions of like a chicken breast or whatever it is that you're consuming? I know we kind of chatted about that before, but I think that's going to be the easiest way to increase your protein intake. And also with the increased walking and movement, hopefully that will help to increase appetite too, because the more we move, then the more fuel we're going to crave. So if it's an issue of I'm still feeling I'm not hungry enough to eat that much protein, or because it can be 2 separate things, right? It could be that, or it could be I find it hard to hit this number because I'm not sure what will get me there. So if you're not sure what will get you there, I would say just increase the portion size of what you're already eating, because you already like to eat it, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? And that's like a blanket statement for nutritional clients, is like, okay, take what you're already doing, do more of it, refine it. Like that's a system that works for you. So like, let's just lean into that instead of saying, well, now you have to figure out a whole new thing to add on to what you're already doing. So kind of like habit stacking.
I think I'm more the former, where I'm just like, I'll be like, okay, because now I'm doubling the amount of protein I'm having at meals. And so I'm like, okay, I think I'm more easily hitting that like 100 mark. But the one where I'm just like, oh, I'm not hungry. Like last night I like ate dinner and I saw that I still wasn't quite as close to my macros as I should, or like wanted to be, I guess is the better way to put it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have 2 of my gluten-free chocolate chip cookies with the Fairlife milk. So I'm getting more protein in my milk.
Yeah.
Like that's all, and I was like,
I think that's a great swap. I think maybe tackling things earlier in the day. So let's pull up your MyFitnessPal. and then kind of float some ideas there. And I wasn't sure if there were like specific things you wanted to touch on in regards to protein. But I think this could
Yeah,
also be like a
our
helpful
discussion
conversation.
today
Just
is protein, 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 and then also you had mentioned wanting to talk about carbs too. So we can do
yes,
both of those things. And as I've said before, this is definitely the most protein I've ever probably been intaking, but like seeing the benefits of it, obviously. But I've never, I think I just never thought about it, and I would hear people talking about protein, and I was like, I don't know what that has to do with me. La 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 la. Um, so yeah, so it's been, like what you said, where you were just like, okay, double the thing. You have one sausage link, can you have two, or can you have one and a half, and like let's build it up. So I've been doing that, but I think part of what is that I need to shift is like I was saying to you, where because I've been staying up later and trying to get work done, I've been waking up later, and so I'm kind of ending up having a very late breakfast, a late lunch, and then dinner is like ends up being a little bit of a smaller meal because I'm just not as hungry before I'm gonna go to sleep. So if I it's just like shift everything forward, like you're saying, where I'm like, okay, my breakfast is now it is happening before 10 again, or like that, then I think that'll help with it.
yeah, I think it's always easier to front load than to catch up later
Mm-hmm.
on.
Yeah.
And I do, especially with a recomp goal, like protein is the emphasis, but it's hard to do that at the expense of carbs because I think people think, well, I need protein. I don't want to consume carbs. And
Mm-hmm.
then we run into an issue with what our body is going to use for fuel. So if we don't have enough carbs, what is my body going to then rely on for its source of energy?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it can break down fat, but it can also, if we're not eating enough at all, and we're eating very, very high protein, metabolic, and then start to break down our muscle tissue and use that for energy. So we really want to make sure that we're not very goes to the gym and lives an active lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that makes sense. Um, yeah, so I'll try to get my schedule in order and
Yeah,
continue to kind of front load as best I can so that by the end of the day it's a little easier. But yeah, I have felt
yeah,
like I've a little bit of a catch
totally.
up on the back end for sure.
Yeah. So my rule of thumb, I'm looking at your MyFitnessPal right now, is we want about like 10% of our caloric calories in our meals from protein. So breakfast actually looks really good. Lunch looks a little bit shy, and then dinner's really, really shy. Although, yeah, I would say. Um, so that being said,
Mm-hmm.
let's troubleshoot lunch. So in our lunch, can we do? Well, first of all, actually, your fats look pretty good. So like the chicken thigh, I would say is a good choice. If we can do a little bit more of it, or sometimes if people find themselves with a little bit higher fat content, then maybe we switch to a chicken breast or a chicken tenderloin. So we're still
Mm-hmm.
getting the protein, but without as much fat. But since you consume a pretty low amount of fat, I'm going to say the chicken thigh is fine. But could we get comfortable with somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 ounces?
Okay. Of the
Is
chicken.
that does that seem overwhelming, or is that doable?
I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
because the question is, are you going to do it, right? Like, so we're just kind of brainstorming right now.
I think and this just goes actually directly to what you just said, where I'm like, if I'm increasing that amount, I feel like I'm not going to take in the same amount of carbs. Like, it's just like I'm going to eat one more than the other kind of thing. Because even with what I basically just had lunch, and that was the same as what I had for lunch yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and probably the same amount of chicken, around like 5 ounces, I think. Um, where if I like by the end I was like, this was a lot of like the, not that I feel like super heavy, but I was like, it was a lot of food and like a good amount of carbs where I would probably say if I'm adding more chicken, I probably want less of the noodles. Like I just be like, this is because it already feels like a lot of food to me.
Mm-hmm.
When I like, yeah, when I'm eating it. And I think also maybe that's part of why my dinner has been a little less because it's taking so long for me to get hungry after. So I am like, I guess this is a good question. Should I be having like multiple smaller meals potentially? Like that's usually the way that I
If that's what works for your
yeah,
schedule, but I would still follow
yeah.
that 10% rule. So, like, the other thing I'll say is making sure our MyFitnessPal choices are kind of
Mhm.
in alignment with, we'll call it reality, but for lack of a better word. So, do me a favor and either on your computer or on your phone, just in Google, type chicken thigh macros and tell me
Okay.
what you come up with. You can either use the AI thing that pops up or just whatever the first approximate entry is.
It says 209 calories, 26 grams of protein, 0 of carbs, and 11 grams of fat.
And that's in about 3 ounces, right? Or like 100 grams.
3.5, yeah.
Okay. So,
Grams.
so we know about 3.5 grams of chicken, boneless, skinless chicken thigh. It's going to be about 25 grams of protein, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the AI says. So, this is going to be a more advanced skill of tracking. So we want to audit ourselves every once in a while. So I want
Okay.
you to look at your lunch from yesterday
Uh-huh.
and see the entry that you chose and see how that compares to what you just found. And you can just look at calories and macro content for 5 ounces of chicken thigh.
Okay. Interesting. So
Yes.
this
So
is
you
at
actually probably were closer
uh-huh.
to the calorie and or to the protein and calorie count, right? But that being said, what that also does is it takes our overall caloric intake up as well as our protein, meaning there could be other instances across the week or even in this same day where we're recording something, we're underreporting our calories, right? And whether it's protein, fat, or carbs doesn't matter, but just overall underreporting calories. So that's
Mm-hmm.
already like a 1 to 200 calorie discrepancy. So if that happens every day, maybe not at every meal, but across the week, that's like 800 to 1,000 calorie difference, right? And even though
Mm-hmm.
you're not in a deficit right now, over time, that can explain why maybe things aren't moving the way that we want them to. So, as part of tracking, is also kind of starting to develop that coach's eye or that check system in your head where you're like, oh, does that make sense? Does it
Mm-hmm.
seem like 5 ounces of chicken would only be 25 grams of protein when I
Yeah.
know one serving of chicken is going to be between 20 and 30?
Mm-hmm.
So starting to kind of develop those critical thinking skills for yourself, because I also like, say you're at a restaurant, then you're going to be really good at like looking at menus and looking at a plate of food and saying like, oh, it says this amount, but this looks actually closer to this. So
Mm-hmm.
we want to be extracting these skills that we're learning. It's not just for like the pure numbers, right? It's so we can have more intelligence when we are out to eat or in the wild, so we know, like, have a really good idea of what we're consuming.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that makes sense. So it's like with that, should I adjust to be like, okay, this is the right representation of how much protein I did intake?
Right. So you might actually be a lot closer
Mm-hmm.
than where you think you are. But just doing that check every once in a while, because the nature of these of apps like MyFitnessPal, people can put manual entries in, and sometimes those manual entries are wrong. And the other good example is like you'll get an entry that's maybe just the calories, but has zero macros across the board. So that was someone who just put something in there for the calorie count, but they didn't give the macro breakdown. So then when you go back and look and like, why were my macros so low this day? Oh, because this entry that I chose doesn't have that information. So
Mm-hmm.
just every once in a while, kind of like looking at everything and making sure, because to your point, it seems like I'm eating a lot. And as it turns out, You were
Yeah.
probably eating closer to an 800 calorie lunch, which makes sense. Like, I'm not hungry for more than this. Like, there you go.
Hmm. Great. That makes me feel good because I was like, this is a lot of food. I'm trying
Right.
here. Yeah.
But that's why when we're at that point and we're kind of stuck and we're like, oh man, like this isn't making sense, it's
Hmm.
really good to kind of go back, double check, and also like the advantage of having a coach, someone who's looking in and being like, oh, okay, I can see why maybe we're having an issue.
Hmm. Great. Cool. Do you want to tackle the discussion topic?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I feel like we kind of
We kind of
touched and
are.
danced around it a little bit. Was there something kind of more specific you had in mind in terms of like what you'd like to share with the
Well, I
audience?
think I'm curious as to your thoughts of the focus on protein and like you were saying at the sometimes at the detriment of carbs and maybe explaining for folks like what is the importance of protein, what is it for, and what is the importance of carbs, especially since I feel like carbs get like attacked as the thing to like stay away from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like especially women, it's like no carbs, cauliflower rice, anything, you
Yeah,
know,
or you'll get inflamed and spike
yeah,
your
like
cortisol, and
yeah, the
so
spaghetti zucchini tastes the same as spaghetti. I'm like, it doesn't.
yeah, so we could go really into so far into the weeds where we talk about continuous glucose monitors and why people who aren't diabetic don't need them,
Mm,
um, because they're sold as a wellness tool for
right.
people who can afford them. But yeah, unless you're diabetic, I really don't feel like you need to be wearing what is it, a CGM.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that ties into, well, your blood sugar spikes when you eat carbs. And it's like, well, yes, your blood sugar should spike when you eat carbs. That is exactly what is supposed to happen. It
Hmm.
will level out as we utilize them, but like, I think there's a demonization of things that are very natural in our body. You don't do this type of workout because your cortisol is going to spike. It's like, yeah, you're putting your body under stress.
Hmm.
That's literally how you get stronger. You put your body under tensile strength or tensile stress
Hmm.
so it can get stronger. So to say to avoid that is just it's very sneaky.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's very easy to label things good or bad because we as human beings want like nice clean lines of like I need to do this and not this when nutrition and training are very gray area, right? So we have to understand nuance. We have to be able to navigate it. We have to understand that like even so like we can be looser for Gen Pop with our protein intake. So I think like between zero point 0.8 and 1.2 grams of protein per pound of ideal body weight is a decent amount that will help you recover if you're someone who works out regularly, to help you rebuild muscle tissue, to help regulate our hormones because our hormones are made from, oh my gosh, I mean, I need to check myself before I completely, I want to say amino acids, but I want to be sure. Yes. So the amino acids that we get from protein, or if you supplement like the BCAAs, you see like the branched chain amino acids, like that's what a complete protein is going to contain all of the amino acids that we need in our bodies. Incomplete protein will not. So protein is important. Yes. Is it overhyped at this point in time? Yes. I think the pendulum is actually going to swing towards fiber. Like there's protein soda and there's protein chips now. Like everything is just protein is being shoved down your gullet. But I think that we're losing the forest through the trees. Is that the same? Like, like why are we gonna
Yeah.
why are we gonna rely on a chip for our protein intake
Yeah.
instead of maybe having a piece of chicken?
Right. Yeah.
Like it's like the red dye, like removing the red dye from a chip. Still, it's still a chip. Like
Yeah.
it's you know like it's that's not going to be the thing that helps you unlock your protein goals. So
Yeah.
I think we like to focus on the minutia because it's really, really easy to say and grab something that has protein because then things will be advertised as being a protein item. But one, it's very much like a pink tax. Maybe it's just more expensive and they've
Hmm.
dusted it with protein powder and the protein content is not that much more than its non-protein counterpart. Pasta is a really good example of that. The protein pasta. I want to say there's like maybe 2 to 3 grams more protein per serving in protein pasta versus regular pasta. So if you like regular pasta, eat it.
Yeah.
Maybe just add a couple more ounces of chicken. Like
Yeah.
that's going to be more meaningful than spending more money on a product that's advertised as being a protein product when it is a carb source.
Right.
And it's okay to let it be a carb source, right? Like we don't have to make everything into a protein version of what it is.
Right. Yeah. There, going to the source of the thing is probably easier than having it put onto a different
Mm-hmm.
item, food item for
And
sure.
then yeah, so also protein bars. So going back to like things labeled as being a protein bar, whatever, and maybe not having meeting the 10% threshold. I think that's a really good metric to use, really easy way to identify if a food is protein forward. It's going to have 10% of the calories from protein. So if you look at any protein bar, you look at any protein dessert, any protein chip, if it does not meet that threshold, it is not going to be a protein item. And because like those bars are not just pure protein powder, right? They are held together by something. The vehicle in which they delivered is not a stick of beef.
Yeah.
So we just have to kind of put our thinking caps back on and like, does this make sense or does it not make sense?
Yeah.
Am I eating a protein cookie or is it just a cookie that's been dusted with protein powder? Like,
Yeah. But I think that way
have a
of looking
cookie.
at it makes sense. Like you're saying, there's 10%. That's easy to check. That's easy to, look at. And that's a part of it too, where it's like, okay, is this something easy for me to understand and be able to navigate?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
That's a very popular, very easy, quick and dirty way to determine.
Perfect. Well,
And
thank you.
again, even if it's labeled as a protein thing and it is not, just let it be the thing that it is. Like if you like the protein cookie and you want to have the protein cookie, great. But if you're using it as a protein source and it's just not fitting, then it's not.
Yeah. You might just have your cookie. Just
Yeah.
have a regular cookie. Okay. Perfect. And then on the carb front,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like carbs get so demonized, especially for women. And
Yeah. I
what
mean,
do we do with that?
I think you have to be willing. So this can be a really deeply seated psychological thing too, especially for women our age who grew up amidst, the heroin chic era. Um, so there can be some unlearning that needs to happen. So I think if we can approach it with curiosity and, allow ourselves, giving ourselves that permission to try it. Like what would happen? Let me see what would happen if I, to your point, like eat some granola before my workout. How's my workout going to feel? How do I feel? How do I feel if I eat, like if I'm someone who's eating very low carb, like say you're averaging 50 grams of carbs per day, and you give yourself permission to eat closer to 100 grams of carbs. How do you feel? How's your sleep? How's your mood? I think using more than just like trying to focus on other things than just like I'm so stressed that I'm going to eat carbs and it's going to make my blood sugar spike and my life is going to be ruined. But what am I going to gain from eating carbs? So I think giving yourself permission to explore that, and then taking it slowly but seeing how you feel is a great way to kind of get over that fear, because I think it is a legitimate fear of some women, especially I would say of the elder millennial, maybe Gen X, Gen Z, because they're just too afraid to, to try it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, something to keep in mind. And I agree with you. It was definitely a like, especially because it was the era of the South Beach diet and Atkins and things like that, where it's like, oh, you can have protein, and even though I don't think I heard the word protein. It was meat. Like you can have meat.
Yeah. Well, and now that's been repackaged and repurposed as the carnivore diet.
Right. And then now, it was no rice, no potatoes, no pasta, salad, 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 salad.
Well, I don't even know if it was salad on some of those diets. I think it was just meat and heart disease.
Yeah, I think Atkins was just meat, but I think South Beach you could
South
have some.
Beach was, yeah, more because
Yeah,
beach, you think beach
yeah,
body, we could,
yeah.
have a whole
Growing up in
other.
Miami, we were the least you could have a little.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well that's great and it's so helpful, and I appreciate, of course, I appreciate every conversation. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.